to let you know that the after party is at the Caddy Shack. So if you want to head over there after you mingle and talk with the filmmakers, just know after parties at the Caddy Shack. So if you would, let's go down the line. We'll start on this end and we'll work our way down. Tell us your name and your involvement. Oh, he's come out. Let's say your name and your involvement in the film, please.
Hi, I'm Henriette. I was Angela, and I shot a lot of this movie.
I'm Lance. I wrote, directed, and acted in 30 minutes of the movie, and then ran into the woods. So.
I'm Matt. I'm the crazy guy.
That's him.
But who did you play?
Oh,
I'm Brandon. I built the creature and the blood effects that killed Matt.
Yeah.
I'm Marin, and I also helped assist Brandon with the blood effects.
And she was in it and then got cut. So the
Oh, yeah.
almost half the names you saw go by were not in the movie, unfortunately. But I'm so thankful they all tried. But it's not their fault. It's we deleted like 20 minutes of this movie, so yeah, it's a kind of a whole. No one's really seen this yet. Sorry, you can keep going.
I'm Brent. I recorded sound for the majority of the movie.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Sam. I guess I'm in a deleted scene. Also, moral support.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Aaron. I produced the movie. I was also in a deleted scene. Even being
Like I
producer doesn't
said.
mean you get in the movie. So.
Hi, I'm Kristen. I play Jordan.
And she wasn't deleted, so that's great.
This microphone might cut out occasionally, but just plow on because it'll come back.
All right, here we go. So Lance, tell us about how this movie came about. Where was your inspiration? What research did you do while you were researching it? What scared you?
Yeah. Basically, I'll skip the mic. I can project. I'll mess it up if I do
No.
without it. You need it back there?
Yes.
Yes? All right, we got it. All right, we're accessibility. Awesome. Yeah, so one day I went up to Matt. We were at Adventure Zone playing laser tag, and I just had an impulse in my head, and I was like, yo, we should make a Bigfoot movie. And he was just like, yeah, buddy, let's do it. So we immediately just were like, all right, let's commit to a date. Let's get a movie going. And my process is chaos. There's no Bigfoot. It's not a Bigfoot movie. This is kind of the movie I usually make, but I decided to make it as a found footage movie instead. And so that was kind of the idea. For the last 10 years, I've been making art house experimental movies around town. And experimental literally means experimental to me. I know that's like an aesthetic thing. People say like, oh, that's kind of experimental. I like to go out and not know what's happening, to not know what the end result will be. So it really has been just experiments in a lab. It's felt like just gathering results, figuring out what's working and what's not. And for me, this was kind of a way to package everything we've learned over the last decade and kind of do it in a way that it is still a little out there, but can play to an audience. So that's where it came from, yeah.
I want to know what your best day on set was like, or your best moment, and also what was the most difficult. And anybody can take this one.
Yeah, I'll start. I would say the best day was the very last day. The day before the file was due to go into the projector for this, I had an idea. We had an idea. It's in and out. We've been talking, and we were talking about like sequel ideas and things that could happen later in the movie. This movie actually cut off a little earlier originally than it goes on for, and we realized that we couldn't just let the ending be a bunch of implications. We had to show a lot more. And so the day before it was due, we went out into the woods. It was raining, and we shot a whole new ending, and we got it in time, just barely. And that it felt really serendipitous, I'd say. It was my favorite day of filming. It was so fast and so quick, and you were crying, and the rain picked up as your tears did. I don't know how you did that, but I'm glad you're connected to the universe. This movie is prophetic, I think, for you. There were no worse days. This was great all the way through. I never felt a negative thought the entire time I made this. I don't have an answer for that part, but yeah, this is one of the most fun times I've ever had in my life. So yeah.
Anybody else want to answer?
Yeah, who wants to say what the worst day was?
Or maybe a challenge.
Well, challenge, yeah. I would say you showing the phone with the footage of you watching the footage like to the camera, that's why I disappear halfway through the movie, because I knew I would not be able to direct the scene where he's showing footage from the movie to us. It hurt my brain. Actors were asking me questions and I had to like stop for 5 minutes each time and figure out how reverse causality worked and then try to explain it back. And after a while I realized we didn't really need to worry about the technicals. The beats are all you need to really get through. I feel like though, after having done this for a while and having watched this on a repeat for a while, I think we're all feeling a little reverse causality at this point. We're all just kind of heading into our destination,
Let's take some.
I'd say a challenge, not necessarily on set, but when I was working with Lance, building the creature
Yeah.
to Lance's design, which was easy, but once we had this very heavy creature built, figuring out how are we gonna hold this thing up so that it can stand, where he needs it to stand. And what we ended up doing was PVC pipe and then reinforcing the PVC pipe with a couple of broom poles so that it basically was like if you're a sound guy, a boom pole over, the back of your head. And it was challenging though when we first started building because the PVC pipe wouldn't hold and we're like, oh crap, how are we gonna make this thing fly? And so that was a challenge, but it wasn't on set, it was all pre-prep.
Yeah.
Let's take some audience questions. I see one right there.
Were you inspired by Chris Nolan's like Memento and kind of reverse causality?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big Nolan fanboy. I love Following. Yes, yeah, I love Following. I described this movie when I was trying to pitch it to friends as just Tenet as a found footage movie. Just halfway through, we're going back and then coming back to the front. It's not exactly that, but it's. When I was thinking about this movie, I was trying to think about why I would do found footage and what the benefit would be to showing raw, uncut footage. And I was thinking a lot about the cinematography of time and how film captures not just image and sound, but time as well. And that's Tarkovsky was referenced, the Russian filmmaker. He's also all about time, and Chris Nolan, that's the only thing he knows how to talk about these days. So it all kind of just lined up, yeah.
So the beer part was definitely a signifier of that?
Oh yes, yes. That made it all work, I would say, is the fact that you were stroking your beard in the camera and saying, I need to cut it. We couldn't do the other ending if you didn't do that. So, yeah. Yeah, but reverse causality. We don't plan anything. It all just kind of happens.
Other questions? I see one back there.
With the experimental nature of your work, are you doing anything with sound, like immersive, Atmos?
Yeah, so we actually use an experimental sound system for this whole movie. We shot there, so most people shoot 16-bit audio. This is all technical. Now there's a thing called 32-bit audio, and we shot this on an even newer thing called 32-bit cloud recording. Very hard to explain. Basically, it means it's capturing every level of sound at once, kind of like HDR video, where it's capturing every exposure point at once. And then in editing, you can kind of play with the levels of every single band of audio. What that basically means is that for a normal movie, you just want to focus on dialogue. You just want to get the mic as close to their mouth as possible, just highlight that. But for this, we wanted it to feel a little more raw. So this allowed us to get the dialogue captured pretty cleanly, but also get all of the environment and the stuff around them. And it was kind of automated in a way through the sound recording device. So there is, yeah, I mean, I don't want it to be this way necessarily, but technology advances so fast, the ideas advance so fast, it's always an experiment. There's every piece of the process. There's never a moment, and if there is this moment, I'm catching myself more and more where it's like, oh, I know how this will work. I got this. Like, that's not real. Everything falls apart. Everything is new. We just have to keep pushing forward. So yeah, the audio was experimental. Yeah.
Other questions?
Yeah.
It's just me open-ended, I
Yeah.
guess. Like, I guess 2 parts. Did you want your film to be interpretive? And then also, like, there seemed to be a lot of sci-fi and like the old horror movie where they're just walking around the road. And then there's like a lot of pagan history of people getting lost in the forest and going to like a circle
Yeah.
of like figures that only like a certain, I think it's a woman in like a pagan like culture
Yep.
that's able to see. And then like the tech connection of like kind of like a schizophrenic dysphoria of being able to recall kind of like Black Mirror stuff where they were able to rewatch themselves, and it kind of, I guess like what is the blend, and then of the tech and the nature and walking on the path.
So, amazing question. You've said so many things better than I could say them as an answer, I would say. But like, I feel like this movie was just made for you. That's like, so cool. It's definitely meant to be interpreted. Everything I make is, I went into this with a very specific idea of like what the monster was, what the forest was, and as we were making it, that kind of dissolved and became more of an amalgamation of like Mothmen, cryptids, biblically accurate angels. They're kind of a meme now. Yeah. So it's like it kind of became like a gray space where we didn't want to define too clearly what was going on, because it was more about the impact and the kind of the time travel mechanics as opposed to what the monster is or why it's there. But yeah, you're right. All of those things are present there, and like the more knowledge you have of like pagan rituals, of time travel, reverse causality, of all these random weird things, like the technology coming into play, like I definitely feel like that's all there and meant to be part of an interpretation. As an artist, it's like obviously the thing we all say, but I don't try to push my interpretation on other people. I design it so that they can kind of have a relationship with the work that grows over time the more they think about it.
For sure, it's cool that like being an experimental filmmaker can allow you to suggest things more so that people can have their own experience.
Yeah, thank you. I agree, and I feel like I've always wanted to make horror movies too. Saw was my main inspiration as a kid. Hostel too, and then all these smaller movies that showed that you just had to have a cool idea, and then you could sort of build a whole movie around it. And I've I've wanted to do this for a while, but horror is a genre where you can get experimental, you can get a little more vague, and you can get a little more weird, and instead of just blatantly confusing people, it adds some fear to them instead. So all these things I've been doing in the past kind of just, I don't know, synergized for a more coherent experience, I would say.
Any other questions? Okay, make sure to mingle with cast and crew out here, in here, wherever you'd like to go. But remember, there's the after party at the Patty Shack.
It's gonna be a rager.
I just want to say thanks for ruining Lester Park for all.
That's the goal, right?
Good to see you. Yeah. I never vaguely remember that circle of dirt there. Where you're like, oh, what are they doing? It was like last fall. Yeah. I wonder too. Like, I completely forgot about it until the movie. I was like, yeah.
I'll talk to you. You guys feel perfect. Exactly. I figured some people weren't making it.
The fuck is this thing?
Dick Laurent is dead.
It's rolling and recording. There's all these buttons. Boop. And now I'm dead.